Everyone, it's Chris Buteau with Cleveland Street Mortgage, and I want to talk to you today about APR. And I want to convince you to ignore APR. It is the holy grail of the regulatory framework within which we operate in. So you will see it everywhere, but it's an awful disclosure. It's an awful decision metric for making actually good informed decisions, and there are several reasons for that. APR conceptually is fairly straightforward. The idea is that comparing two loans, loan cost consists of overtime cost and the interest rate, and then one-time cost in terms of fees. And of course, fees are expressed in dollars, and interest rate is expressed as an interest rate. And how do you sort of combine those, mash those together, and compare two loans against each other? Conceptually, it doesn't sound so bad. But it really is a terrible thing, firstly, because the decision horizon on APR calculations is generally 30 years. It's the life of the loan. And loans just don't last that long. If you knew that every loan you were going to go into was going to last 30 years, then maybe APR would have a little more validity. But the average life of a loan is more like 5 years. And what that does is it prejudices you toward paying lots of points, because over time, eventually, that lower interest rate will make up for those excess costs up front. But as I mentioned, the average life of a loan just doesn't last that long. And an APR based upon a 30-year mortgage just is not a good way to decide which mortgage to choose. The other thing is that it arbitrarily includes some costs and excludes others. So, for example, the appraisal cost is not included in the APR. And so if you're comparing two different APRs, one loan program may require an appraisal, another may not. And so you may save $700 or $800 on that one program, but it won't be reflected in the APR in comparing those differences, because that cost is arbitrarily excluded from the APR calculation. So that doesn't show up there. The third thing is this APR is easily manipulated. One of the costs included in APR is prepaid interest. Prepaid interest is just paying interest on your mortgage for that first portion of the month that you have your loan. It's not really a loan cost per se. It's not a transaction cost. It's not a fee for service. It's just interest on your mortgage that you pay that first month. But APR calculation takes that into account, and you can legally stipulate any number of days you want in that initial APR calculation. And if you want to drive your APR down, then you'll choose one day of prepaid interest, but that may not be reasonable based upon your actual expected date of closing. And so again, you may compare two different APR calculations. Somebody is being much more conservative, estimating that you're going to have 20 days of prepaid interest, and many people just put 1 day in there because, again, it drives APR costs down. But that really isn't anything that's going to differ between two different loans, two different lenders. Depending on what day you close, you're going to have that many days of prepaid interest. And that's not really a differentiator, even though it may be different. And then the fourth reason is APR takes an extremely straightforward concept. How do you compare two different loans, different rates, different costs? And it solves this problem by mandating a formula that's so complex that you can take 10 industry professionals and we'll all come up with a different answer, with what the APR is. Because it's complex. And really, it's a fairly simple problem that we're trying to solve. I have this loan and the interest rate is X and the costs are Y, and I have this other loan and the interest rate is X and the costs are Y. And really you can just say, okay, I get a lower interest rate here, but my costs are a little bit higher. How long before that higher interest rate, or lower interest rate covers those extra costs? It's really a very straightforward, simple calculation. So anyway, you're going to see APR everywhere. As I said, it is the regulatory holy grail, but I don't recommend using that as a decision tool. Thanks so much.